Today we're going to start standing on the end of your mat, bringing your feet into their hip width apart and parallel, and just taking a deep breath here. With your exhale, just allowing the head to nod, begin to roll down through your spine, allowing your knees to bend when you need to. Then placing the palms of your hands flat onto your mat, and just pausing here for a moment, and then gently walking your hands forwards, one at a time, as you bring yourself into your 4-point kneeling. Just checking in here, the knees stacked underneath your hips, the hands slightly forwards of your shoulders, and just allowing your spine to lengthen out and find its neutral curves. And from here, keeping your spine long, I just want you to very gently lower your chest down towards the mat, keeping the arms straight as you feel your shoulder blades almost pinching together a little. And then pushing yourself away again. Allow those shoulders just to sit where their neutral is. And again, just lowering your chest down, arms stay straight, shoulders draw together, and then pressing yourself away back to that starting point. One more here. Dropping the chest down, the arms stay straight, shoulder blades draw together, and then pushing yourself away back to your neutral spine. And from here, all I want you to do is just gently slide one foot along the mat behind you. Keep your foot down, feel that length through your spine, level across the back of the pelvis. And then gently drawing your knee back in as it rests underneath your hip. And to the other side, so just working on a little bit of mobility into the hip and the knee, and just starting to find some stability as you move. Let's do one more of those to each side, gliding your foot along the mat behind you, and then gently drawing that knee back in. Once more from here. Bringing your knee back in and underneath you. From here, you're going to carefully lie yourself down onto your mat, onto your front, however feels most comfortable for you. We'll set up for our Cobra prep, taking your legs into that wider position, turning your heels in towards one another, bringing your arms to the shoulder width apart, taking a moment just to feel the hips are level, allowing those ribs to tuck and draw down, feeling a slight lift around your centre as you rest your forehead down onto your mat. With your exhale, glide your nose along the mat as you lift away through the upper spine, one vertebra at a time. Taking a breath here, where we pause, using our exhale to lower back, bone by bone, gently drawing your head back in. Again, with your exhale, head, neck, upper spine lifts, keeping those lower ribs down, feeling that movement coming from the spine, breathing in where you pause, using your exhale to lower. So just starting to find some controlled movement through that upper spine. Each vertebrae moving one at a time into that extended position. With your exhale, we lower back. So continuing with your Cobra prep, or lifting further as you find your full Cobra if that movement is there for you today. Feeling the length of the spine extend, the gaze lift, the front of the hips maybe coming away from the mat. Taking your breath where you pause, and exhale as you lower back, bone by bone. Drawing your head back in. We're aiming for 2 more here, so either with your Cobra prep or your full Cobra. Try to allow the spine to find that movement to do all the work. Using your exhale as you move, keeping those legs heavy and active against your mat, providing that lumbar spine with some support as you move. Taking that breath here with that lift and that exhale as you lower back, bone by bone, drawing your head back in. Then straightening your arms above you, so keeping your legs in that slight turn out, your arms resting down slightly wider than the width of your shoulders. We've got 2 options here, either keeping your head resting down or keeping that upper spine slightly lifted in that extended position. So now as we exhale, let's lift opposite arm, opposite leg away from the mat. As we inhale, we're going to lower back down. So we exhale, opposite arm, opposite leg lifts, inhaling to lower back. Finding that movement at the shoulder and the hip, whilst keeping the spine and the pelvis really still throughout that movement, so you're not feeling as though your weight is shifting too much from side to side. If it feels too strong with your head lifted for these last few, just rest your forehead back down onto your mat. Finishing off with your last one here. And then taking a moment, if it's comfortable for you, to fold yourself back to your heels. Find your rest position, either lengthening your arms out in front of you or sweeping them down by your side, and just taking a couple of deep breaths. From here, you're going to lift yourself up into your 4-point kneeling again. Palms spread and connect against the mat. Knees resting underneath your hips, allowing your spine to find its neutral curves. Taking a breath here, and with your exhale, lifting into your cat bone by bone. Really feeling that nice control movement from the crown of the head to the tailbone. Taking your breath here. As you exhale, send your head to your tailbone away, as you allow the length of your spine to extend. Take a breath. Use your exhale to take that small movement, allowing your spine back to neutral. As you then turn your head and draw your hip towards you, shortening through one side, lengthening through the other. Send your head and your tailbone away as you move over to the other side, drawing that hip, allowing your head to turn. Send your head to your tailbone away. And then as you exhale, lifting and finding your cat again, length of the spine flexes, feel that air filling the back of the lungs. Taking that slightly longer exhale, sending your head and your tailbone away as you extend through the length of your spine. Small movement back to neutral. And again, allow your head to turn, draw your hip towards you, lengthen through one side, shorten through the other. Sending your head and your tailbone away as you move over to the other side. We come back to centre. We're going to do that series of movements one more time. Exhale, lifting into your cat bone by bone. Taking a breath here. As you exhale, extending through your spine, lifting the head, the tailbone, breathing in. Use your exhale, aligning back to neutral as you turn to one side. Feel that length, that openness through that side of your body. Sending your head, your tailbone away and moving over to the other side. As you draw back to centre, again, take that moment back, if it's comfortable for you, into your rest position, folding back, resting your forehead down, taking a deep breath. Feel that air filling the back of the lungs, maybe a slight release into your lower back. That full exhale as you just release here for a moment. From here, you're going to come and sit yourself onto your mat, so just bringing your feet round. Have your feet flat onto the floor, your knees bent, and really taking a moment to lengthen and lift through your spine. From here, you're going to take your arms out in front of you. You're going to draw one hand in towards your shoulder as your head, your neck, your upper spine turns, and you straighten that arm behind you into our bow and arrow, keeping that arm straight as you bring yourself all the way round back to centre. The other hand touches to your shoulder. Head, neck, upper spine turns, lengthening that arm away, looking towards those fingertips, and then reaching your arms forwards, coming back to centre. Keep the shoulders relaxed, the neck long, and trying to remain really lengthened and lifted through your spine throughout. Drawing that hand in, head, neck, upper spine turns, reaching the arm away, and then sweeping back round. Once more to each side. Really heavy through both of those sit bones. Think about crown of the head reaching towards the ceiling and gently drawing back. As you then place your hands, so rest gently behind the back of your thighs. And if you can, just allow your tailbone to tuck as the pelvis connects against the mat and you roll down to your mat one vertebra at a time. Resting your head down and just taking a moment here. A couple of breaths, find your position on the mat. And just taking a pelvic rock forwards and backwards. So think about as you tuck your tailbone in, feel the lower back softening against the mat. As you release your tailbone away, feeling that slight lift increase into that lumbar spine. Drawing back in towards you, the lower back softens in the mat. releasing that tailbone away. And then taking that pelvic rock into a pelvic circle, one full circle around in one direction, and then taking that circle, that stir around in the other direction. As you come back to center, feeling that weight even through either side of your body. With your next exhale, tuck that tailbone in towards you, the pelvis tilts as you lift through your spine, one vertebrae at a time, as far as you can with that first lift, taking a breath here. As you exhale, we lower back, bone by bone, and just releasing that tailbone away, finding your neutral pelvis again. So with the exhale, we lift one vertebra at a time. This time with your breath in, reaching your arms towards the wall behind you, leaving your arms where they are, exhaling as your spine lengthens back down to the mat, one vertebra at a time. With your breath in, bringing your arms back down and by your sides. Again, the next exhale, we lift away, bone by bone. Feel those knees reaching forwards. Taking a breath in as you sweep your arms towards the wall behind you. Pausing here for a moment longer as you walk through your feet, lifting the heel of one foot, the toes of the other away, lowering back down. Same to the other side. Lowering back down, repeating that once more with each foot. Try not to feel the pelvis tilt or tip as you do so. And then as you exhale, sweeping your arms overhead, moving your spine back down to the mat, one vertebra at a time, and releasing away from here. Then lifting your arms above your shoulders, above your chest, into your arm openings position, palms turned down, taking that soft bend at the elbow. Taking a breath here, and with your exhale, floating both arms out towards the side of the room. With your inhale, lifting your arms back over your chest. Exhaling, opening the arms out. Inhaling as you lift back. Adding in our opposite arm, opposite knee opening into your next one. With your exhale, opening your arm, your opposite knee out to the side of the room. Inhaling to draw back to center. We exhale to open. Inhale to draw back. Coming to a double knee fold if you'd like to, lifting one leg at a time. Continuing with that opposite arm, opposite knee opening from there, that same breathing pattern. Keeping that pelvis heavy, centered and still against your mat. Just making sure you're not feeling the weight of your pelvis tilt or tip as that knee opens out to the side of the room. And just working at your own pace, to your own level with that movement. Taking one more of those to each side. Keeping the neck long, the shoulders heavy against the back of the mat. Keeping your arms lengthened above you as you place your feet back onto the mat. Gluing the legs together, the feet, the lower legs, the inner thighs, straightening the arms, palms turn towards one another, arm sinks heavy into the shoulder socket. As we come into our hip rolls, with your exhale, roll the pelvis, taking the legs over to one side. Breathing in as you pause here, exhaling to draw back to center. Over to the other side with that exhale, that top knee, that top hip reaches away, breathing in to pause, exhaling as you draw back. Keeping those arms really sinking heavy into the shoulder sockets. Use your upper body as a bit of a guide, making sure you're not taking the legs too far as you move from one side to the other. Think about using that exhale to allow you to move. The breath in is where you pause. The exhale draws you back to center. And one more of those to each side. You can always take your arms back down to your low V if you prefer to work from there. Finishing off here with that exhale, we roll the pelvis, taking the legs over, breathing in, exhale as you draw back to center. From here, if you'd like to do a curl up, you're going to interlace your fingers and take your hands now to support the weight of your head. Feeling your head heavy into your hands, keeping the legs glued together. With your exhale, head, neck, upper spine lifts as you find your curl up. Keeping yourself in your curl up as you take that small hip roll movement, about half the range of movement you were just working on. Then drawing back to center as you move over to the other side. Coming back to center, use your exhale to lower out of your curl up one vertebra at a time. Taking that small hip roll without the curl up if you prefer. Head, neck, upper spine, ribs glide forward, tummy deepens if you're curling up. Taking that small control movement through the lower body. Keep that small gap between your chin and your chest. Find that bone by bone movement through the upper spine as you lower your head back down. sinking your head as heavy into your hands as you can. With that deep exhale, really allowing the abdominals to deepen, allowing those ribs to glide forwards towards the top of your pelvis. Lowering, releasing back down. One last one here if you can. Finding that control, elbows wide, lifted, lengthened through your upper spine. As you draw back to centre, allowing out to that curl up if you're there. Rest your head down as you bring your arms back, down and by your side. Taking your feet and your legs back into their hip width apart and parallel. Let's lift into either our single or our double knee fold. Just check in that you're still into that neutral pelvis and spine. As you exhale, tapping one foot down, use your inhale as you lift your leg back in. Working on our toe taps, that control of that movement at the hip socket. Everything else staying very still. Keep the ribs drawing towards the top of the pelvis, being really aware of what's happening through the length of the spine, particularly into that lower back. If there's any feeling of the spine wanting to lift away from the mat, then maybe work with your foot down and just work one leg at a time. Or if you want to increase it, let's take it into our double toe taps, both feet tapping down to the mat together as we exhale. Inhale as we lift both legs back. Taking a rest as and when you need to. We'll do 2 more from here. Placing one foot at a time back down onto your mat. From here, we're going to do our bridge. So if you need to shift your feet a bit closer in towards you, then do. But feeling nice and active into the glutes, into those hamstrings. Arms lengthened down by your side. Take a breath, and as you exhale, keeping the spine in its neutral, we're going to press into the feet and lift away from the mat. Take a breath where you pause, and then use your exhale, control as you lower back down. So we take a breath, we exhale, press into the feet, lifting the spine away. Taking a breath as you pause here. Use your exhale as you lower back to your mat. Just feeling those little adjustments your body is making to help you find that control as you lift and as you lower back. If that's feeling okay, you can float your heels away, so just the front of the foot's resting down onto the mat, keeping the heels lifted as you press and lift your spine from there, taking a breath. And then exhale as you lower back. If it's too strong in your hamstrings, just resting your heels back, down. Again, we lift this time, just pause, hold it there for a moment. Feel level across the front of the pelvis, that length through the spine, the knees reaching forwards. And then control as you lower back down. We're going to aim for 2 more of those. Keeping the heels lifted or resting your heels back down, whichever you prefer. Taking that pause if you can. A little connection around your centre. Feel that length through the spine. Make sure you're not bringing any tension into that upper body. And then we lower back. Taking one last one here, if you can. Lifting away. Couple of breaths as you hold. Thinking about your alignment. Thinking about your stability. And then we lower back down. And if you'd like to, just take a moment, a gentle hug of your knees in towards your chest. Placing your feet back down onto your mat and either lifting into your single or your double knee fold. Bring those heels together, allow your knees to open a little. So you're into that slight turn out. With your feet softly pointed, so taking our single leg stretch leg here. As we exhale, sending one leg away from your body. With your inhale, draw your leg back in. Heels connect. Exhale, the other leg lengthens away. Inhaling to draw back in. So just really focusing on that mobility at the knee, at the hip, and stability of the pelvis, of the spine as you take that movement. Let's do 1 more of those with each leg. So from here, keeping the legs lifted if you can, or resting them back down onto your mat. We're just going to float the length of your arm away from your mat, keeping your head down, and we're going to take our 100 arm beats from here. So think about your fingers reaching forwards, that length through your arms, head resting onto your mat. If you feel your head is really wanting to move, or that upper spine, then just make those arm beats a little smaller. Thinking a breath in for a count of 5 and exhale for a count of 5. From here, we've got an option to lift head, neck, upper spine into a small curl up as we continue with those arm beats. So either rest your head down or take your feet back down to the mat. Work to your level where you can find your control. Keeping that nice curve through the upper spine, feeling those ribs drawing forwards, the tummy deepening, and almost feeling as though your arms, your hands are reaching a little further forwards with each of those movements. Really finding some stillness through the upper spine. And then we'll still the movement of the arms. If you're in your curl up, we're going to lower back down, bone by bone. Relax your arms down to the mat, placing one foot at a time back down from here. And from there, let's just lift one leg into a single knee fold and just take a small knee circle from there. Feeling the weight of the thigh sinking heavy and deep down into the hip socket. And then taking that circle around in the other direction. And then placing your foot back down onto your mat. As you lift your other leg away, finding that single knee fold, taking that small circle around from there. And then take that circle around in the other direction, just really releasing into that hip, feeling heaviness and stillness across the back of the pelvis as you move. Then gently placing your foot back down onto your mat. If you need to, just a gentle turn, roll of your head from side to side. And then lifting your arms above your shoulders, your palms turn towards one another. Let's reach one arm towards the wall behind you, the other arm down by your side. Then lifting your arms back over your shoulders, the other arm reaches away, the other arm down towards your side. Lifting your arms back, reaching one arm away from the other, and then sweeping your arms all the way out, round to the side, and then lifting back over your shoulders as the other arm leads. Sweeping your arms out and around, keeping them slightly lifted away from the floor, and then lifting back from here. Turn your palms to the front of your room, and then just taking a small circle around from there, allowing the arm to fall and sink heavy, deep down into the shoulder socket, and then taking that circle around and in the other direction. Just breathing gently there. As you bring your arms back down and by your sides. From here, you're just going to bring yourself back into your 4-point kneeling. Knees underneath your hips, hands slightly forwards of your shoulders. As we take our threading the needle, really connect the front of the foot, the front of the leg heavy on your mat. Keep that length through your spine, taking the back of your left hand onto your mat, your palm turned towards the ceiling. Sending that arm through as you bend that supporting arm, head, neck, upper spine rotates. And then drawing back into your starting position. As you move over to the other side, feel crown of the head reaching forward, tailbone lengthening away, looking towards your hand, and then lifting yourself back, planting your hand back down to the mat. And again, so use your exhale as you come into that threading the needle. Use your inhale as you draw yourself back to centre. Over to the other side, sending that arm through, and then we lift back. One last time to each side. Lifting yourself back, finishing here, keeping that length through your spine, that heaviness of the front of the foot, the front of the leg on the mat. And then drawing yourself back from here, taking a moment as you fold back to your rest position, forehead rests onto your mat. A couple of deep breaths here. Then when you're ready, bring your hands so they rest underneath your shoulders. Start to lift your head and tuck your toes underneath you as you shift your weight back onto your heels. And you allow your hands just to fall heavy, keeping that bend at the knee. And just taking a couple of deep breaths from here. When you're ready, with your exhale starting to straighten your legs, feel your hands lifting away as you roll yourself back through your spine, bone by bone, bringing yourself to standing, just rolling your shoulders back at the top, sweeping your arms out to the side with a deep breath in as you reach up towards the ceiling, looking up towards your hands, just finding that length, that stretch. And then with your exhale, just restacking your spine and relaxing your arms back down and by your sides.